Hi, welcome back. I am playing Steam Prison again. It is now 1 a.m. in the morning, but I do want to get to move on and see what happens. So let's go ahead. So don't think of yourself as useless. So yes, just previously we were just doing some cool police stuff. If we just ignore the whole killing her parents thing. I wouldn't be here without you. I wouldn't have taken a promotion exam either. Finn, I'm glad you're my partner. Aww.
キルス様
I told you not to call me that. Gosh. Finn was invaluable to me on so many occasions. If he hadn't been with me, who knows what I would have done. Perhaps Ark would be injured now at my hand. He deserves it. I knew how lucky I was to have a partner like Finn. Well then, off to battle.
戦場
Yes, I need to try on that dress we talked about.
なるほどでも俺が一緒でいいんですか
There's nothing that defines
女性の服のことは何も分かりません
friendships more than bringing a guy friend along to watch you dress try on your wedding dress. That's quite funny. Of course, it's essential that you're there with me. I can overcome any hardship with you.
なんだか大げさなような気もしますがそう言ってもらえて光栄です俺もその
I think the tailor's over there. After me, Finn.
あはい参ったな
Da. This dress is so tight. The tailor said it was custom fitted, but I think he also said it would be uncomfortable at first. They'd taken my measurements a few months earlier. I didn't want to believe I'd gained weight in the interim. It's normal, Kiris. It's called muscle mass. I don't like the dresses at home to begin with, and this is a whole other level. I sighed and looked at myself in the mirror. Yeah, I would imagine she would have to be buff to be, like, a police officer. I have no idea if this looks good or bad. Therefore... Finn, are you there?
はいどうしました
How does it look? Oh, I think I've seen this CG on the Steam page. Finn looks mesmerized.
えキルス
I wanted to know if you think it looks good. Your reaction made the answer quite obvious. That'll be enough. Thank you. She's so clueless.
結構って何がですか黙ってないで答えてください俺がそちらに行くわけにはいかないんですですから
You didn't know what to say because it looks so bad, right?
そんな違います誤解ですいきなりのことだったのでついもう一度見せてくれませんか
You don't have to be considerate.
政治は言いませんこの件に誓って本心を言います
How is it?
綺麗だと思いますものすごく
Finn? I'm not sure if this choice matters, so I'm going to save again. Alright, I'm just gonna do 180 and say, yep, of course it looks good. I thought I was used to having him stare at me, but there was a heat in his gaze that wasn't usually there and it made me embarrassed. It's just Finn, stupid. Desperate to distract myself from my discomfort, I laughed along with my reply. Of course it is! This was tailored for me, you know? Of course it looks good on me.
その通りです
His agreement came instantly. I guess this is typical of him. I wanted him to laugh, to do something, but he didn't. He just kept gazing at me. Would you stop staring?
すみません普段のお姿からとても想像できなくて
It must be. I tend to prefer more rustic and masculine clothes. My ordinary outfits aren't this attractive.
そんなことはありません。いつだってとても魅力的です。
Finn,
あ、また変なことを。すみません。ここでの発言は全て忘れてください。お願いします。
Finn was now bright red, probably as red as I was. Okay, I guess this is probably unrequited love on his part. The tailor smiled, having observed our conversation from a distance. It got pretty dark.
はい、試着お疲れ様でした。
It sure was exhausting, especially with my hair getting tangled up in a dress when I tried to take it off. Thanks for your help there, Finn.
はい、どういたしまして。あの時は試着室へ入ってすみません。
You did it for me, there's nothing to apologize for.
はあ、ですが、着替え中のところをずかずかと。猛省します。
Haha, I told you that's fine. You're honestly more dexterous than I thought.
そんな、あの程度でしたら落ち着けば誰にだってできます。
I couldn't do it alone, that's for sure. Not as carefully as you did. I'd probably have thus decided to heck with it and cut off my hair. Thank you, Finn. The whole ordeal was a chore, but at least it's over and done with. I happily chatted away. Sorry that you have to come so far in this direction to walk me home. I know you live the other way.
いいんです。夜道を一人で歩かせたくありませんから。
You don't have to worry about me. I can protect myself with my sword.
わかっています。でも、心配なものは心配なんですよ。あなたが危険な目に遭うなんて想像さえしたくない。
Finn?
パートナーであるあなたは俺の生活の一部みたいなものです。ですから、どうか俺にキルスを守らせてください。
Alright, but the same goes for me as well. So, at this point, I think well, maybe Finn is just an easily embarrassed person in general, but it sounds from the wedding dress scene that he does have some attraction towards Kiris. So, I guess probably a decision for him not to have a root is just so he can stay to be like the friend zone guy because it's clear that Kiris doesn't have feelings for him. Maybe? We're equals, we protect each other. Don't hesitate to let me be there for you too.
はい、ありがとうございます。
I've got an idea. Would you like to come to my house for dinner? I want to pay you back for how much time you spent with me after work. Hey, do you want to meet my dad and mom?
お言葉に甘えたいところですが、明日の準備がありますので、今日はちょっと。
Oh, I see. We're going to the devs tomorrow. I should make some preparations too. Tomorrow is probably going to be exhausting. Do you want to eat with me the next time we have a day off then?
そうですね。お邪魔でなければ。
Of course it isn't. I'll tell the servants to make a huge feast.
ありがとうございます。楽しみにしています。
Yeah, me too. Sorry for taking up so much of your time. Take care on the way home.
はい、また明日。
Finn made a little bow and began to walk away. Slowly he faded into the darkness of the night. Well, time to go in. I'm home. Hi, God.
おかえりなさい。遅かったわね。
Oh, yes. I gripped my sword hilts, my tone proud. I tried on the wedding dress. I expected them to be happy, but they didn't even bat an eyelash. I gave them a quizzical look. Is something wrong?
本当に？
You're doubting me?
あれほど渋っていたんだ。疑うに決ま
Shut
っている
up,
だろう。
Beef. I mean, Dad. Of course, huh? It's a little hurtful to be suspected of lying by your own parents.
ごめんなさいね。そう、やっと試着してくれたのね。あのドレスの生地はおばあ様が生前あなたに用意したものなの。
Oops. Sure. That much was honest truth. I didn't like dresses, but the fabric was pretty. I think so.
と思います。
No, I like it. Grandmother's cloth was superb. So I think it said that she tried on several other dresses before this. So were they all made out of the grandmother's cloth?
そうよね。
試着してくれてよかったよ。これでようやく式の日取りを決められる。
A date? There was no date before?
そうよ。ドレスができてから決めるって言ったでしょ。
Yes. I really did forget that. Damn it, should not have tried on that dress. In fact, I've forgotten we've ever talked about it. I'm really not enthusiastic about getting married. I was surprised at how much I didn't care.
結婚式に向けてこれから忙しくなるぞ。倒れないようにな。
There's still more for me to do?
当然よ。式場の選定に招待状の作成、体型の維持、美容、それから。
Alright, Mom. I feel dizzy. Can I have something to eat? I'm very hungry.
もちろん。でも食べ過ぎないで
Oh
ね
god.
ドレスが入らなくなったら
I'm having wartime flashbacks. I feel like so I'm Asian and I have Asian parents, and one of the jokes that they always that people always make is how Asian parents love to talk about how, oh, you seem to have gained weight, you need to lose weight. It's like something that's very freely spoken about in our families in a way that I believe isn't really brought up as commonly, like in the same kind of way in like non-Asian families. So it's kind of interesting that this being a Japanese game, that it kind of implemented that sort of talk. Although, like, yeah, I can see how that can do have a terrible result on a child's self-esteem, and I don't necessarily think that's a good idea, but it's just nostalgic, I guess. I know. Marriage is a lot worse than I expected. I am so tired. Maybe I should kill my dad and mom because they say I'm fat. That's going to be the solution to the mystery. I placed my sword next to the wall and collapsed onto my bed. I knew I had to change my clothes, but my body demanded rest. Today was really exhausting. My parents continued to berate me about my wedding and future husband throughout dinner. They tried to tell me that descendants earned the be-all end-all. The government had decided my marriage. It was nothing of special significance to me. So in this society, the government decides the marriages of... It sounds like everyone, not just nobility. So it is that sort of dystopia setting, seems like. My parents are very happy together, but how was I going to feel? Would Lord Fitzgerald and I ever feel as comfortable together as my parents did? I can't really picture that. Yeah, their conversations are pretty stiff. Catching that thief already felt like an event in the distant past. That just proved how worn out I felt. I want to sleep, but I have to change. I had to prepare for the next day as well. Should I tell my parents that I'm going to the deaths? My orders don't say that I'm not allowed to tell my family. It didn't seem like the right time. They were unlikely to oppose outright since it was part of the promotion process, but I knew that they would make a fuss about it. The deaths truly were an unknown, terrifying world to us. I won't tell them. No need to cause pointless worry. It's probably better to tell them after the fact. After reaching my decision, I crawled under the sheets. Immediately, I began to melt into the soft mattress, my whole body stretching out. Good night, I murmured and closed my eyes. So today, okay, this is one day before the case. So tomorrow, our parents are going to get murdered. That's pretty ominous.
Ohayou gozaimasu, Kirusu. 今日もよろしくお願いします。
Yeah.
顔色が良くないようですけど、具合悪いんですか?
Oh, don't worry about it. I didn't get enough sleep.
そうですか。窃盗犯の捕獲、大変でしたからね。
The wedding nonsense was more exhausting to me. I'd been hoping that after the wedding dress I would be able to have some peace again, but they were on my case again this morning. The prospect of dealing with wedding plans every day was depressing, but I couldn't let that affect my work. I had to compartmentalize. Today's a big day. We'll have to be alert. I gave my cheeks a light slap to wake myself up. They didn't mention how long this observation mission was going to be, so... But it will probably just be for the day, right? Because it seems like from the intro that she'll be back at home to kill her parents, hypothetically, tomorrow. Alright, let's do this, Finn.
はい。
I'm surprised we were ordered to the barracks. How are they going to send us to the depths?
新会員のずっと奥に特別な入り口があるようです。
How do you know that?
え？昨日コルドア殿からもらった視察許可証に書いてありましたよ。
Oh, so I never read it. Did it? You're right. Don't laugh.
すみません。でもキルスが確認を怠るだなんて珍しい。本当に疲れているんですね。
This was such an important assignment. To miss details like that was incredibly unprofessional. I put the envelope away as I silently gave myself a harsh scolding. Don't worry, I'll be more careful from now on. I don't want to cause problems in foreign territory. I'm really pumped to see what the depths are going to be like. Although it looks like Kyrus is very apprehensive. But just in case, if you see me nodding off, give me a good shake to wake me up, okay?
わかりました。叩きはしませんけど起こします。そういえばドレスの試着についてご両親は何かおっしゃっていましたか？
Don't ask me that.
え？まずかったですか？
Finn put his hand to his mouth nervously. I don't really want to talk about it, but he came with me yesterday. He's earned the right to hear what happened next. Yeah, they were extremely happy and said they would set the wedding date now.
そうですか。よかったですね。肩の荷少しは降りたんじゃないですか？
No, it added extra weight onto them. My father told me that the real work begins now, and a lot of my time will have to go into preparing for the wedding.
そうなんですか。頑張ってください。応援しています。
Look, you eventually have to suffer the same fate.
あ、そうですね。俺も俺なりに頑張ろうと思います。
You bet you will, and we'll both make it through somehow.
おお、予定よりも早いじゃないか。
Sir Cordova, why are you here? Are you accompanying us?
いや、君たちが来るか確認するため待っていた。中には下界に対する恐怖のあまり昇格を辞退する者もいるというのに実に頼もしい。
You're not afraid, right, Finn? Finn nodded almost imperceptibly.
はい。おじけづくなんて全然少ししか。
Finn?
大丈夫です。こうやってここにいるんですから。ね。
Sir Cordova watched our exchange and laughed. Then he pointed down the hallway.
下界への駅はこの廊下の先にある。まっすぐ進むがいい。
Station? The same word had appeared in the permit. I'd never seen it used in that sort of context before. Sir Cordova, what is meant by station? Is it a name?
おっと失敬。そうだな。下界へ行くことがなければ耳にしない言葉だ。駅とはこの国と下界を行き来できる乗り物がある場所のことだ。
Maybe some type of pulley system? Maybe an elevator of sorts? Vehicles? Maybe a primitive elevator?
そうだとも。下界は国の直下にある。歩いてはいけまい。
俺からも質問させてください。下界からこちらへ戻ってくることは可能なんですか？
No, Finn. You're going to be stuck there forever.
当然だとも。でなければ視察に行かせない。
ですよね。しかしどうやって？
百聞は一見にしかずだ。 じきにわかる。さ、行ってこい。
Sir Cordova pushed Finn encouragingly down the empty hallway.
行った。
Okay, let's go. A vehicle to go back and forth between our country and the depths. Our country was high up in the sky, far above ground level. Once upon a time, the world had suffered a flood. Our ancestors had been the only ones to anticipate the disaster. They built our country. Oh. Okay, so the depths are not underground, because it was just on ground level, because it suffered a flood. The flood rolled back long ago, and in its wake, the survivors on the ground lived in a state of anarchy. Yep, that confirms it. The depths are actually on the ground, they're not underground. And I guess the heights are just way above ground. They must not have a lot of oxygen. It's like living on Mount Everest. I can't imagine what's able to send us there and bring us back. I turned the question over and over in my head. He said we'd understand. I'm very curious. Finn, walking beside me, suddenly stopped dead in his tracks. What's wrong?
向こうから歩いてくるのはも
Is
し
that
かして
Senkabolt arc again? Ugh. Oh. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, hi, God! Saint Yune. It was Yune Sekie, our country's greatest saint. He was ageless and immortal. He was our hierophant. Blessed by God, and everyone revered him. I'm not going to try that again. I was no exception to that reverence. The moment I saw him, my heart began to flutter. What's His Grace doing here? He's the most childlike looking love interest, it seems. The police barracks were inside the temple, His Grace's residence, so meeting him was not out of the question. But the temple was extremely large, so meeting him wasn't especially likely either. What are we going to do? Finn, come here! I bowed my head and moved out of the way as His Grace passed. I heard his footsteps. With steps slower than my own heartbeat, His Grace Yune was about to pass me by.
お前
I was so startled that I gave a little jolt of surprise.
面白い反応だね。まるで叱られた子供だ。
I'm very sorry. He's a rude god.
そんな風に萎縮する必要はないよ。ほら、二人とも顔を上げて。
はい。
He definitely seems to have a different voice from what I pictured him. It's for some reason I pictured him as being voiced by a voice actress rather than a voice actor. Slowly I raised my head and met His Grace's gaze. I resisted the urge to immediately avert my eyes and began to speak instead. How may we be of assistance?
別に用というほどではないよ。お前たちに神の祝福がありますように。じゃあね。
Okay, so there's a separate god from Yune. Yune is like the messenger of God who is on earth or the heights. His Grace began to walk away immediately. We watched as he departed.
俺あんなに間近で見たのは生まれて初
If
め
you
て
love
で
him
す。
so much, why don't you marry him already? Yep, same for me. As my heartbeat slowly went back to normal, I felt a profound happiness. I didn't just see him, I talked to him. Mother would believe it when I tell her. So, I guess people do occasionally run into him, right, since he lives here? Does he just not talk to people, in general? After talking to His Grace, today is going to be a great day. I headed towards the station with Finn. Ooh, cool. What is this place? The hallway went on and on. At the end of it was a door. When we opened it, an incredible sight lay before us. The weather outside the temple was sunny, but the light coming through the stained glass windows was murky, making the room quite dark. I love the descriptions. I feel like they really help with the world building. The silence was oppressive, and I was uncomfortably conscious of my own breathing. Like, I can feel the how beautiful the heights is, but also like the sense of like oppression in a way that comes from like the government making people get married. There's still a lot of misogyny in the society, and so on. Is this the station? I ventured a few steps inside, looking around. I was expecting to see a guide or employee, but there was nobody. How do we get from here to the depths? Finn, do you have any ideas?
いえ、さっぱり。乗り物と言っていましたけど、馬はいないようですね。
Yeah, it doesn't smell of livestock in here. Maybe they're bringing a carriage. I don't know why she's thinking that a carriage could bring them down. I guess it's not impossible. We still have a bit of time. Let's wait on that sofa over there. A red envelope lay on the sofa. Did someone forget this? It has all names on it. Kiris, Destella, and Finn Euclase. I turned the letter over. There was no sender, only the temple's seal. Yeah, I'm sticking to calling her Kiris, but I know that that is probably Cyrus. But it's just to keep it consistent with how people seem to be pronouncing her name.
俺たち宛てのようですね。
What a terrible system. What if we'd missed noticing it? I glanced around again. We really were completely alone. I broke the seal. There were 2 letters inside, each folded once. They seemed to be identical. Here, take one. Lift usage instructions. Oh, I see. It's a manual.
そのようですね。本書は下界と我が国をつなぐリフトの搭乗規則を記したものである。なお、便宜上我が国を上界とする。当リフトの運用の主な目的は下界への受刑者移送である。部外者の搭乗は固く禁じているため注意されたし、当リフトの運行時間は以下の通りである。上界から下界への移送は原則日ごとあるが、上界への移送は不定期である。
How would that work though? Because I was just thinking, if the lift descends to the depths, it would still have to come up to the heights in order to descend again. So how come this lift descends multiple times per day but doesn't ascend? Maybe the ascensions happen, but they just don't take people?
緊急時及び非常時を除き、リフトは定められた時間にのみ発着する。遅刻は自己責任とし、新会員は一切の責任を負わない。時間の厳守を心がけられたし。
If we miss the ride back, we'll be stuck in the depths, huh?
そのようですね。戻ってこられないなんて絶対に嫌です。長居しないよう気をつけましょう。
Finn gave a nod and put the letter back into the envelope. He stashed the envelope in his pocket. So where's this promised lift? It's almost time. Whoa! Startled by the vibrations, I jumped up. I didn't have a chance to do anything else before the floor in the center of the room rose up. What is that? As if by magic, the floor was rising into the air. A tube came into view before it, made of what looked like glass engraved in complex symbols. I've never seen anything like this before. Finn didn't seem to know any more than I did, staring dumbfounded at the bright light. It doesn't look like a weapon, but...
キルス、近づいては。
I'm just going to take a look. We have to find out if it's a weapon. I slowly approached the light, keeping my hand on my sword hilt. What is this? Is it glass? I reached out. A little chime rang and the bright object parted sideways when I touched it. A current of air blew out, ruffling my hair. Perhaps this is it?
リフトでしょうか。
Finn was thinking along the same lines. This is very strange. There's no horse or orcs. How does it move us to the depths then? So I guess this type of...
わかりません。でも、これで移動するのだとしたら、入らないわけにはいけませんね。
that this type of technology is not commonly used in our heights. Something like an elevator. Finn's expression was extremely hesitant. He was just as uncertain about this object as I was. I wished they'd at least written a lift on it somewhere. There was no discernible writing on it anywhere I could see. We can't just stand around here. You're right. We need to enter. There was still a chance that it was dangerous though. I had to make a decision. Should I go first or should Finn? Alright, we have to go together. We don't have time to think. According to the instruction letters, departure was imminent. We'll investigate together. Come on, Finn. If we just randomly get a bad ending here, I will regret not having have saved, but at least I have saves that I can just skip to.
あ、はい。何も起こらないといいのですが。
The space inside could fit 3 or 4 people comfortably. It was completely empty, there wasn't even any dust. So, what are we supposed to do now? The door! The glass door closed again and the floor began to tremble. As we descended, the light dimmed until it was gone completely. Is this a lift? Being moved by the vibrating mechanism was very unsettling. Finn was in obvious discomfort. He covered his mouth with his hand. Oh, poor guy. Don't throw up. I don't want you throwing up in this tiny space.
分かっています。でも。
Oh, sweet summer child. Eventually the vibration stopped and the glass door slid open. Outside we saw... this... wait, what? I was speechless. Finn murmured something about a room. I don't see any horses, this is just a cramped little space. How is... whoa! The ground jolted. I grabbed instinctively at Finn's uniform to steady myself.
大丈夫
So
ですか
the glass elevator brought them into a room that also looks like an elevator. I'm fine. Calm down, Finn. I'm the one who needs to calm down. I let go of Finn's uniform and did my best to compose myself.
起動準備完了。車内来賓用放送開始。
What's this? When the shaking stopped, a voice spoke to us. Finn and I looked around, but we were the only ones present.
皆様、本日は下界行きのリフトをご利用くださりありがとうございます。当リフトには添乗員はおりません。ご着席の上、到着までお待ちください。
Is it over? The room had no windows. I had no idea what the outside looked like. So there has to be technology in this world, like pretty similar to modern technology, because the automated voice thing is pretty familiar to all of us, I'm sure. I had my share of apprehensions, but it was too late to turn back now. I guess we should do it as the voice said and sit down. Finn sat down in a seat opposite to me.
俺たちどこに連れて行かれるんでしょうね。
The depths, obviously. Finn gave me a startled look, blushed and looked away.
そうでしたね。すみません。非現実的なことの連続で忘れていました。
I sympathize. The depths are a wasteland barely fit to be used as a penal colony. I never expected to be sent there without committing a crime. This is an important experience. Let's get as much as we can out of it. So I understood from the synopsis that there are poor people in the depths, but also criminals. So that's something I'll be keeping on the back of my mind. Finn nodded in agreement. I couldn't think of anything else to chat about. The rumble of the lift filled the quiet. I wonder if I should be saying something. Sitting in silence with Finn didn't bother me at all, but still. Ooh, I'm so excited to see the depth. What would be a good topic? Finn cleared his throat, offering a timid attempt at conversation.
キルスはどうして警察官になろうと思ったんですか？
That's out of the blue.
すみません。警察官にならなければ下界へ行くことはなかっただろうなと考えていたら少し気になって。試験制度があるとはいえ女性の活躍は難しい職です。なのにどうしてこの道を進もうと思ったんですか？
It's a long story. Do you still want to hear it?
大丈夫です。俺好きなの
Yes,
で。
main character backstory.
あ、
Alright, then I'll tell you. As I'm sure you know, the Tistellas have been politicians for generations. My grandfather was a politician with a very strong sense of justice. He was often criticized, but the people liked him. I'd take after my granddad. He used to help those in need wherever he could. I really admired that. But I'm too impatient and impulsive. I want to be like my grandfather, but I just wasn't able to picture myself as a politician. Then something happened when I was 13. can't find it. It's the day after my 13th birthday. My gift from my mother had been a pendant. It was a family heirloom. I should have put it away for safekeeping. Instead, I'd been so happy that I worn it everywhere. I'd been very careful, and yet somehow still managed to lose it. To make matters worse, I had no idea where it might have happened. What should I do? I could never tell my parents I'd lost the pendant within the day. I spent a long time searching. This is where I noticed it was gone. I hope I can find it here. What are you looking for over there? I don't know who this is. I turned around and saw a large man. Okay, it's a large man voice. A police officer. Taken aback by how his large frame loomed over me, I shook my head. It doesn't concern you. Maybe it was Sir Cordoa. Of course it does. It's almost night. You have to go home. I can't. Why not? Because I haven't found it yet. What are you looking for? Where's your home? I'll walk you there. I'm fine. Goodbye. What now? I still have to look for it. I knew if my parents saw a police officer escort me home, however, they would be suspicious. If they found out about the lost pendant, I was sure to be in dire trouble. Tomorrow, I'll look for it again tomorrow. When I got home, my mother remarked on my lateness. We ate dinner together. It was all my favorite dishes, but I felt so incredibly sad about losing something so important to family, and so I didn't enjoy a single mouthful. When we had finished eating, I went to my room and sat down on my bed. I want it to be tomorrow already. The next day I would be able to look for it again. Despite my best efforts to fall asleep, I remained wide awake. What do I do if I don't find it? They told me it was important to us. The pain and sadness in my heart seemed to crush me. Later, deciding sleep was impossible, I crept out of the house. I just need a little longer. Even if I never found it, I needed to know I'd tried as hard as I could. It's so dark, and I was alone in town. It was very quiet. I felt like someone was watching me from the shadows. A cold shiver ran up my spine. I'll be fine. No one's there. I'll be fine. I repeated that like a mantra to myself as I searched. You again. You. It was the same police officer from earlier. I froze, paralyzed by the sight of the person I least wanted to see. Your parents must be worried about their child being out at such a late hour. He told me to go home and reached towards me. I told him I was fine and swatted his hand aside with a glare. They don't know I'm here. That's no excuse from doing something dangerous. Please leave me alone. I can't go home until I find it. You haven't found what you're searching for? I nodded. I need to find it, otherwise my parents will be sad. I couldn't say the words. My throat burned. My nose was stinging. I could feel the tears start to well. I never meant to make them sad. I hated myself for crying in front of a man I didn't know, but I couldn't hold back. I stared at the ground, wiping at my eyes in a hope I could hide my sorrow. It seems to be something very important to you. I nodded vigorously, unable to speak. Perhaps it's this. This is my... I'm glad it's yours. Okay, it doesn't look like Sir Cordoa. It's probably a... Yep. It's probably a random guy. It looks handsome. I hope that from the moment I found it. If it was yours, then I didn't need to worry. Worry? Yeah, because once you had it, you go home, right? I'm very sorry. Don't worry about it anymore. Where do you live? I'll walk you to the area. Thank you very much. If it's important to you, don't lose it again. I won't. The house was dark. My parents hadn't realized I was gone. Mr. Police Officer, are you hungry? Hungry? Yes, my father always tells me to be nice to people who are nice to me. My father bought me chocolate today. I'll give it to you. Please wait here. Oh, don't worry about it. What a good kid. Always faithful. Serving the people is my job as an officer. I don't need anything. But you don't want them to find out you're gone, right? Go inside. Okay, thank you. Until that day, I always saw police officers as people who just walked around the city. It really changed my view of them. I wanted to become an officer just like him. That's all. Did that sate your curiosity?
はい。ありがとうございました。
You're welcome. It's strange. We've been partnered for 2 years, yet I've never told you that story until now.
ええ。貴重な話を聞けてよかったです。
It's just an old memory, nothing precious. This, on the other hand, is precious. The pendant.
それは、
Yes, this is the pendant my mother gave me. The Tistella heirloom. I'm always careful to keep from losing it now. You've never told me why you became an officer either. Do you want to...
お待たせしました。下界
I
へ
want
到
to
着
hear
で
why Finn became a police officer.
お忘れ物のないようご注意ください。ご利用ありがとうございました。
You heard it. You have to tell me another time. I hope he gets to tell us.
はい。喜んで。と言っても、大した話じゃないんですけどね。
In that case, I expect an epic amount of drama and lamentation. Oh, she's so savage. There was a flight of stairs which I walked down carefully. I didn't want to stumble. A damp smell permeated the air. So yeah, it is on the ground. And this is the steampunk looking background that we saw in the opening, I think. These are the depths. Rusted machinery and uneven pillars surrounded us. Through the pillars I could see a plain... plain? All grey and brown. Beyond the plain were buildings.
俺が想像していたのと、
You were thinking it would be more savage?
ええ。犯罪者が送られる先ですから、もっとこう、牢屋みたいなところかと。
Same here, but this is all out in the open, not enclosed. This seems more like uncharted territory than a jail.
それはこの場所だけで
Is
す
this a
よ。
love interest? And you are...
ハウンズのリーダー、ザクセン・ブランデンブルクです。ようこそ最果ての極へ。
Hounds? Alright, so we have met many guys so far, and with the exception of God, I don't think any of these are love interests. So who are going to be the love interests?
ええ、新官員から視察者を案内しろという通達を受け、参上しました。
From the temple? I retrieved my letter and read through it again. Hounds? It doesn't mention that. Does hounds stand for something like Hounds? Like holy oligarchs underground never mind society.
当然です。上界の上品な方々は知る必要のない組織ですので。我々ハウンズの主な仕事は上界から送られた罪人の取り締まりおよび
Oh, I think this
いわゆる監視役
is
で
the
す。
guy the main character was fighting in the opening.
メンバーは私を含め全員が上界出身。警察官と同じく新官員が管轄している部署の一つです。警戒は不要ですよ。
So something just... Yeah. Maybe, I'll go on soon, but I'm just thinking about this Hounds unit. It belongs in the depths, but it's filled with members from the Heights. So given how much people in the Heights seem to be scared of the depths, is this like it's probably like more like a military than a police, maybe. And I don't know if membership here is entirely voluntary, maybe. Well, we'll keep seeing. I couldn't pinpoint the cause of my unease, so I shook my head. I understand the nature of your organization, the Hounds, now. Still, we know nothing about this place. We will stay on alert. Anything might happen. Don't drop your guard, Finn. We are really protective of him.
わかりました。
勇ましいですね。女性ながら警察官になるだけのこと。
Alright, he's a dick. I may be a woman, huh? This is the Senkabolt arc of the Hounds. The condescension was nothing new for me, but it still made me square my shoulders and straighten my back. I'm Kiris Tistella, a rank 1 Temple Police Officer. This is Finn Euclay's same rank. Kiris is so angry at you that she has transformed from one single officer into multiple officers. That's how angry she is at you. We have come here as part of our promotion examination. Thank you for being our guide. I like how snippy she is at him.
ええ、では行きましょう。
Sir Saxon turned on his heel, setting off with quiet steps. I think they're supposed to be German. Finn and I followed him side by side. We walked towards a large building visible in the distance. Assumed it was our destination. The depths. We're surrounded by a wall here just like in the heights. Is that... Oh...
どうしました？
Yeah, we're surrounded by a wall. What are we keeping out? Are we keeping out the Titans? Behind us is a wall there. Isn't that an exit? I paused, pointing in a direction of the distant wall. It surrounded the city on all sides, except for the place that looked like an opening. I'm getting strong Attack on Titan vibes now.
あれは視察と関係ありません。
What is it then?
あなたの任務には一切関係のない
The
場所
White
です。
Walkers.
この下界にはお嬢様には物珍しいものがたくさんあるでしょうが、任務でいらしたのであればつまらない興味は捨てることです。下級警察官。
I hate this guy. Most of what he said was reasonable. I don't like being addressed sarcastically like that, but he's right. Apologies, Sir Saxon. I let curiosity get the better of me. Finn was giving me an unreadable look, and I apologized to him as well. This is part of my duties. I have to focus on the mission. It took about an hour of walking to reach our destination. It was a large building. It had been built in an oppressive architectural style, and was the same shade as the dark clouds behind it. I feel like this might have drawn quite a bit of inspiration for modern day, not modern day, but like 1900s fascist architecture. There was a large crest I didn't recognize emblazoned on it, which I assume belonged to the Hounds. I see, this must be where you keep the criminals. I don't think so. Sir Saxon laughed audibly.
これは収容施設ではなく、ハウンズの本部です。
Headquarters, apologies.
お気になさらず、華やかな新会員に勤められている警察官どもにとっては、罪人を放り込むにしてもみすぼらしい建造物でしょう。
Shabby? I didn't...
上階とは勝手が違いますが、この施設は上階の建造物を模しています。我ら底辺たる存在にも下界の者どもとは違うという誇りがありますので。
Brandenburg.
まあ、先ほども申し上げた通り、新会員と比べればゴミでしょうがね。中へ入る前に罪人の居住地へ案内します。ついてきてください。
あの方、感じ悪いですね。俺たちのことをよく思っていないようです。
It's my fault. I insulted him and his comrades. Things are very different here too in the Heights. I need to take more care with how I speak. Yeah, my first thought is that this cannot be a prison because it's much too small. If supposedly that all criminals from the beginning of time were sent down here, it doesn't make sense for there to only be one small building for all of the criminals. That said, I do see that there are some iron bars outside them. So that could make sense. But why would... Maybe it's just the curtains. Actually, I didn't look at it carefully.
ここが罪人の収容場所。通称保護地区です。
Sanctuary District. I considered Sir Saxon's words as I looked around.
ここに住む者たちは皆、もともとは上界の人間です。この保護地区を囲む壁の外には、下界の者どもが暮らす集落がありました。
Got it. So this is...
彼らは上界の者をいびき
Oops, I
がってい
keep
ます。
I keep interrupting all the voice acting. But okay, so so my understanding here is that this sanctuary district is where the criminals live, And beyond those walls are the poor people that also are native to the depths, who were originally washed away by the flood that they talked about. Walls like the ones we saw from the station?
ええ、奴らは野蛮で大変手を焼いています。滅せられればいいのですが、虫のように多く、それも構いません。
Titans!
ですから、こうやって罪人をここに集めて住まわせ、我々ハウンズが保護してやっているのです。罪深いとはいえど、元は上界の人間ですから。
I see. I'm very surprised to see no cells or prisons. I looked at the buildings around me. It was simply a decrepit village. The people weren't chained or shackled. There wasn't any restriction on their movements.
まるで小さな町ですね。罪人を自由にさせて危険などはないんですか？
ありませんね。奴らは脅威とは程遠いガラクタです。もしも逆らうようなことがあっても、この剣を持って処分する。ただそれだけのことです。
Yikes. Sir Saxon put a hand on the hilt of his sword and gave us a wild grin. Yeah, I don't like him. Disposed, huh? I ignored the cruel choice of words, looking around at the sanctuary district again. These buildings must be where they live. It didn't look like a livable area to me at all. The sky was the color of ash, everything was damp, and everything smelled. The people were emaciated and looked at me with heavy eyes. I know that I couldn't live here. There were no prison cells, but the prisoners were monitored and controlled.
引き返したいところですが、ついでですので、この先にある位置へ案内します。
Alright. Something crashed into me. I turned and saw a boy sitting on the ground. He had fallen on his rump. Are you alright, boy?
ごめんなさい。前を見てなくて。
I told him it was dangerous to be unaware of his surroundings and held out my hand. Be careful that it doesn't happen again. He definitely stole our wallet or something.
ありがとう、おね。
The boy took my hand and stood up. Then he bowed and thanked me again.
驚いた。こんなに幼い子がいるなんて。
罪人らが作ったガキですよ。汚らわしい。
Whoa. Sir Saxon drew his sword and sliced the flesh of the boy's arm. Yikes! Sir Saxon?
上界の者に危害を加えた
Wait,
罰
so
で
he
す。
didn't even take our wallet. What is he doing?
危害？ただぶつかっただけですよ。
I wasn't wounded. There is no injury. Please sheath your blade. Yep, he is going to be the villain of this story. You're bleeding. Are you okay? I took out my uniform's first aid kit and treated the boy's cut.
何をやっているんです。罪を犯した者は罰する。それが我々の仕事だという。
This didn't call for your sword. Besides, he's just a boy.
年齢など関係ありません。罪人は厳しく等しく取り締まるのが我々のしきたり。ここではハウンズがルールです。立てつくようなことはなさらないでください。下級警察官と。おいクソガキ、二度と走れない。その足も立ってやる。
やだ。
Sir Saxon was the warden. If the law called for this punishment, then he was in the right. I still can't let this pass.
キルス。
おや、俺に剣を向けるとは。
It's my job to protect the weak. I can't overlook this conduct.
言ったでしょ。ここではハウンズがルールだと。ご自分の立場というものを分かっていないようですね。
Hounds. I understand it perfectly well. I serve the people of the Heights. I have no authority here. I'm following my own code of justice. It demands I protect the weak. If you stand in the way of that code, I will use my sword against you. So, second sign of dystopia in the Heights after the whole forced marriage thing is that they just take everything quote unquote undesirable in the society and just hide it from view in this very authoritarian place called the Sanctuary District where the ruler is just this tyrant. So that's interesting.
気を使ってへりくだってやったというのに、この俺に逆らうとはバカな女だ。下級警察官殿に最後の忠告だ。剣を収め、俺に従え。
Alright, so they're probably gonna fight.
ハウンズの仕事は遊びではない。歯向かう者に手加減はしない。俺の靴を舐める覚悟はできてるか、お嬢様。
I'm sure somebody has a kink for this. I should ask you the same question. I won't be the one to lose. She doesn't. I gestured for the boy to leave, but didn't look away from Sir Suxon. You, go home.
でも
Just go.
ありがとうお姉ちゃん。
This is a duel. Stand back. Don't interfere no matter what. And don't distract him. Don't do anything he could use as an excuse.
わかりました。ご武運を。
仲間とおしゃべりとずいぶん余裕があるようだな。ここでは俺に歯向かう者はいないからな。その体でせいぜい楽しませてくれ。
You sleazy. How am I going to go about this strategically? We stood at a distance from one another, swords drawn. I could see Sir Suxan's face beyond the tip of my blade. Carrying a sword meant that he had at least some skill with it. He also knew the environment better. I was at a disadvantage. No, I shouldn't think like that. The quickest path to defeat was to doubt myself. I had to believe I could win. So this is kind of a cliffhanger, but I have to stop here because it's nearing an hour and it's 2 a.m. But I want to see what happens next. It's interesting that we are getting to meet all of these characters that really flesh out the background of this world. We have this very calm feeling in the heights with typical police rivalry between Kiris and a guy named Ark. And there doesn't seem to be anything quote-unquote ugly going on. But here it's dark and dank, and there's a tyrant, this guy named Suxan, who is easily terrorizing even non-criminals like this little boy who was born here. And I'm interested to see what's going to happen from here. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video.